And this is module 6, and in this module, our 6th module, we'll be looking at the concept of printing. Don't forget, we are still on the course. We are still discussing different topics in fine art, and we have been able to establish and discuss some major topics over in the previous modules, that is from module 1 to 5. So where we have mainly introduced ourselves to what fine art is, the historical development of fine art and all, and also the basic drawing techniques in fine art. So now we are in module 6, the sixth, which is the 6th videos for this course. And in this module, we'll be looking at the concept of printing. So when we're talking about printing, art is not just about drawing alone. It has to do with printing also. So what do we refer to as the printing, and how do we print? We also look at the historical development of printing. Where did printing start from mainly before we could go to this generation or to this 21st century? Before printing got to this 21st century, in which there is the involvement of technology and all, which has made it very easier for the people, for artists and designers. Now let's move on to the contents of the module. We have the contents of the module to be one. We'll be looking at the meaning of printing. We will introduce ourselves to the meaning of printing by defining what printing is from different perspectives and different angles. Then after that, we'll move on to the historical development of printing. Where we'll be answering the question about how printing emerged mainly. The historical developments of printing. It's not just that printing just started all of a sudden. There must have been some kind of developments and involvement that happened. That brought about printing. Now let's move on to the next subtopic. We'll move on to which is types of painting in fine art. We'll also be looking at different types of printing in fine art. Then we also address the foundations of color and painting techniques for beginners and all. Now, for the introduction to this course, we have that printmaking. So when we're talking about printing, we can call it printing, and we can also refer to it as printmaking. So either way, the two are actually correct. So in the course, for this course, we see printmaking, and we are still referring to it as printing in fine art. So now printmaking, it is often referred to as the concept of printing in fine art. This is what we are trying to say, that these two terms can be used interchangeably. Whether you call it printing or printmaking, we are still referring to the same thing. And it is an artistic process that actually involves creating original images by transferring inks from a prepared matrix, such as a carved wood block, incised metal plate, stone, or screen, onto a support, most commonly paper or fabric, through controlled pressure or direct application. Now, unlike mechanical reproduction, fine art printmaking, it produces multiples that are considered authentic originals when the artist conceives and executes the design specifically for the chosen technique, embracing the medium's unique qualities like texture, tonal range, and repeatability. So what we are trying to establish in this introduction is just we are trying to introduce ourselves to what printing and printmaking is. Where we have to view it as an artistic process, which mainly involves creating pictures or images, creating images by the use of ink. And this use of ink, it has to do with transferring ink from already prepared matrix through controlled pressure or direct application. Now this is what printmaking has to is. The use of ink is very important when we are talking about printmaking. So it is the use of using ink to prepare an image that embraces the medium's unique qualities like textures, tonal range, and repeatability. Now let's move on to the next subtopic, which is the meaning of printing. What does printing mean mainly in art? So when we are talking about in fine art scholarship, now printing or printmaking, printing, let's take it this way. Printing, more precisely timed printmaking, is defined as an artistic process involving the creation of images or designs through the transfer of ink from a prepared surface known as matrix onto another surface, most commonly paper, but also fabric, parchment, plastic, or other support. So printing can be made through different surface, through different prepared surface, which could be paper, it could be fabrics, it could be parchment, it could be plastic, or any other support. So far it is going to print or stay on the surface. Now, a foundational scholarly definition defines printing as an articulated in sources like we have Britannica's comprehensive entry on printmaking, whereby Britannica describes printmaking as an art form consisting of the production of images by various techniques of multiplication under the direct supervision of or by the hand of the artist. It is important to know that who is in charge of printmaking. It is mainly the artist. So who mainly supervise the under direct supervision of this process to before it can be printed as a print. It can become an art. So it is the artist that actually supervise it, but using the various techniques of multiplication. Now, modern expansion, it actually incorporates screen printing and digital methods, but scholarly emphasis remains on originality. So each print, called an impression, is very subtly due to process variables like ink application, pressure, paper absorbency, and all. So these process variables and editions are limited to maintain artistic integrity and value. Now let's move on to the historical development of printing now. Everything can actually be traced back to history. The historical development of printing in the context of fine arts is more accurately termed printmaking by spans millennia. It actually evolved from ancient reproductive techniques to a sophisticated autonomous fine art medium. Now, printmaking is known to have originated in ancient East Asia, with roots tracking back to the Han Dynasty in China. So, the early examples include woodblock prints on silk and fabrics for patterns and text. I believe you can actually relate to this in most of those Chinese movies that we watch. We can see all these silks with different patterns and all. So we can agree to the fact that it's actually originates, or we can trace its originations back to Han Dynasty in China. So a print on silk and fabric for patterns and textile evolving by the 7th century into printing text and images on paper, invented around 105 CE by Kailun. Now, the world's oldest dated printed book, the Diamond Sutra, it exemplifies advanced wood block printing for Buddhist texts. In Europe, printmaking developed independently but was influenced by Asian techniques. So we can trace the history of the roots of printmaking to Asia, although it's however developed in Europe. It's advanced to Europe, but we can actually give the techniques, the roots techniques to the to the East Asia, mainly China. So it was influenced by Asian techniques via trade routes. Now, relief printing, that's woodcut. It appeared around 1400, initially for textiles, playing cards, and cheap devotional images. The Renaissance, that is between the 15th to 16th century, also elevated printmaking to high art status. We have Abegdura, who mastered woodcut and engraving, producing intricate, the expressive works that also rivaled paintings and spread his fame across Europe. Now, the 20th century saw the explosive innovation. Screen printing sheeted bold flat colors of pop art. In the late 20th to 21st century, digital technologies, that is the period of industrialization, it actually transformed fine art printing. Now we have inkjet processes from the 1990s onward. It actually enabled high fidelity reproductions and original digital printing, often combined with traditional methods. Now let's move on to the different types of printmaking that we have. We have fine art printmaking. Actually involves creating artwork through processes that transfer an image from a matrix, which could be a plate, block, stool, or screen, from this to paper or another surface, producing multiple editions while allowing artistic control over each impression. Unlike commercial printing, fine art prints emphasize the artist's hand in design, matrix preparation, and inking, often resulting in unique variations. We have the different types of printing that we'll be looking at. We have relief printmaking, intaglio printmaking, planographic printmaking. We have stencil printmaking also. Now let's pick it one after the other. Relief printmaking, it involves carrying away non-image areas. Sorry about that. Non-image areas from the block or plate, leaving the design raised. Ink is applied to the raised surface and transferred under pressure. Intaglio, on the other hand, It incises or etches the image below the plate surface. Ink fills the grooves and pressure forces paper then into them for a characteristic embossed line. So techniques include engraving, mezzotint, and acquaintance. So interglue excels in detailed tonal realism and expressive depth. We also have planographic printmaking, which works on a flat surface where image and non-image areas are chemically separated. The primary method is lithography, drawing with greasy crayon or touche on a stone or a plate, then etching and inking for smooth, painterly effects with broad tones and subtle gradients. Monotype is sometimes included here, actually, so which involve painting ink on a smooth plate and pulling a single print. Now, finally, we have stencil print making. This one actually uses a barrier to block ink in non-image areas. The most common fine art form is screen printing. That's otherwise known as serigraphy, where ink is forced through a mesh screen with blocked areas. It actually allows vibrant, flat colors and layering, as seen in Andy Warhol's works. These are the different types of printmaking that we have. Mainly, we have before. And we have been able to establish that and address that. Now let's move on to foundation of colors for beginners. Color theory is the study of how colors interact, how they combine and influence visual perception in art. So it provides framework for understanding color relationships, harmonies, and contrasts to create balanced, expressive compositions. Now in printing and painting, the color wheel, often attributed to Isaac Newton's 1666 experiment, was popularized in art by Johann Wolfgang and later refined by artists like Johannes Eaton is central. So this circular diagram organized colors based on their relationship, helping artists mix, select, and apply use effectively. Now we have the different types of color that we'll be looking at, which is we have the primary colors, we have the secondary colors, we have the complementary colors. Now the primary colors can be called or they are seen as the foundational building blocks that cannot be created by mixing other colors. So they are the primary color, the basic color. In traditional subtractive color theory for painting, they are red. We have red, blue, and yellow. So all other colors are derived from these primaries through mixing. For example, mixing equal parts red and yellow produces orange. So these are the basic color. We have red, blue, and yellow. So primaries are essential for beginners as they form the basis of a limited palette, reducing muddiness and encouraging intentional choices. Secondary colors, on the other hand, this is as a result of mixing two primaries in equal proportions. They include orange, which does red plus yellow will form orange, green, which is yellow plus blue, and purple violet, blue plus red. Now secondary colors, it sits midway between primaries on the color wheel and add variety to palette. Now understanding them helps artists to achieve natural transitions such as the green in landscape or oranges in still lifes. Now we have the complementary colors. Now these are pairs of colors opposite each other on the wheel, such as red and green, blue and orange, yellow and purple. So when placed side by side, they actually create maximum contrast and vibrancy. For instance, we have making a red apple pop against a green background. So when it is mixed, they actually neutralize each other to produce gray or browns, useful for shading without black. Now, complementary schemes evoke energy or tensions, as seen in Vincent van Gogh's work like Starry Night and all. Now, in conclusion, we have been able to establish that printmaking stands as a profound and enduring discipline within fine art, seamlessly blending centuries-old craftsmanship with innovative experimentation to produce multiples that are unequivocally original artwork rather than mere reproduction. So this is what we are trying to establish here, that from its ancient origins in East Asian, that printmaking originates from woodblock techniques through the transformative European advancements of Gutenberg's press, their intricate engraving, and also Rembrandt's expressive etching and Sennefelder's lithography, to the modern evolutions encompassing screen printing, digital hybrids, and contemporary mixed media approaches. Printmaking has democratized artistic expression, by making images accessible beyond elite patrons while preserving